Good morning. Welcome to day 30. Woohoo, we did it. 30 days of retraining our brain, getting our thinking on the right track. Yes. So today we're going to talk about your go-to verse, your anchor verse. What verse are you going to go to when you find yourself in a negative thinking pattern or your thoughts have derailed and you just need to get realigned and back to God to get your thinking on the right track. So, um, the actual journal entry says, "What is your go-to verse?" and explain why. See, that's the other thing. Is like, why is it? Because sometimes we just like verses, but like go to the core of like, what is this verse really teaching you? Why this verse? And then if you do not have one, you can use one from the book if you've gotten my book, or search the Bible for a life verse and write it down and memorize it. Maybe something from the 30 days. There was a verse that really, stuck to you. You really liked it. And so, yeah, write it down, get it in front of you, say it every day, pray it. And mine, we're going to, is, and I've mentioned this before, it's Psalm 139:23 through 24. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And so this verse again always hit me, and it hit me because it was like the search me and know my heart. Because so many times I think we deny or are embarrassed or have shame of what we're thinking or what we're feeling. It's like, wow, like there's some ickiness inside me. How could I be thinking that, or how could I have thought that? And so I wanted to dive in and clean it out and be like, okay, God, this is yucky. This doesn't seem right. So help me to get out of this like weird thinking and stuff that's not healthy. And so I really wanted him to test me. And then also, I have found like in disagreements and everything else, like there was a time in my life that I was like hugely prideful, like ego. And I always thought I was right. And then I also would get super embarrassed if I was wrong. Like, you know how your face turns red? I mean, it would turn red, and I could just feel my whole body just of this embarrassment. And I hated that feeling. And so because of that, I like held very strongly to my opinions and my thoughts, and they were right, and I was going to hold to that because I didn't like that feeling of embarrassment and shame. And so I went totally the wrong direction and started to well up with pride and my knowledge, all of that. And then like when you get in like a disagreement, had to be right, you know all of that stuff, and it was always their fault and all of that yuckiness. And it's like, okay, God, this isn't right, like this is icky. And so I wanted to have God truly search me, truly get to all of those wounds, all those hurts, all those bitter roots, all those things we've talked about, and just soften my heart to him and repent of the wrong emotions and thoughts that I've had over the years and get rid of it, because I don't want to hurt the people around me. I didn't want to continue to be in this space, and it's yucky. And so I think that's one of the reasons that verse really really hit me. And I found one of my old notebooks. I've kept this, and this right here, I did a word study on this verse. And I did this, I have the date. You should always date your things, it's very helpful. 6/14/2014. So that's how long ago I did the word study on this. So I mean, this verse has been my verse even before 2014. But I did a word study on it. And in a word study, what it does is it makes it more personal to you. And so you go back to the original Hebrew or Greek, depending on if you're in the Old or New Testament, where the verse was at, and you go through and you have to write it in the King James version. And then I used the old school book of the Strong's Concordance and went page to page and found what the words mean, the true meaning of the words in Hebrew. And so you have all of this stuff, and then from that you just kind of, I just picked out what like spoke to me and then wrote my own verse. And so this is what I came up with. um, it's here, but I also typed it out because it would be easier to read. So after I did my word study, this is how God spoke to me through this verse. Penetrate me and examine me intimately, O God, and get acquainted with my broken heart. Tempt me with trials and discern my thoughts that I keep company with. And gaze and spy on me, O that there be any idle, sorrow, bodily or mental pain that I journey toward, and guide a course for my life toward a world without end, a vanishing point with you. So that is, I mean, it just like speaks to me, and I love this. And I think that's why so many times when I quote my verse, sometimes I don't quote it correctly, and it's because this always is like in the back of my mind, and I haven't memorized it. I probably should. Okay, that's going to be my goal. But let me just walk through it. Like, penetrate me and examine me intimately, oh God. Like, who truly knows you intimately? That is some serious transparency and vulnerability if you have that kind of relationship with a spouse or a friend or a family member. But you can have that with God. And so just having that intimacy with him, and then get acquainted with my broken heart. And that was huge, because we've had things that have happened in our lives that are hard. Some people have had sexual abuse. They lived in a very tumultuous home, where they didn't feel safe. And so you can have all of these things that have happened to you. You could have been really bullied in school, but didn't feel like you could tell your family, your parents, or a sibling. There's so many things. And so what is that? Get acquainted with your broken heart. And that was so helpful for me to like really allow God to get acquainted, because then it helped me to heal from a lot of that, so many wounds, so many things that happen. And what's interesting is in childhood, when we look back as an adult, some of the situations that caused us trauma as an adult, we're like, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. But it was in that moment. Or there's other things that have happened to you where as an adult, you're like, wow, like that's intense. But as a kid, you're like, it didn't really bother me. But then maybe it did, and you just didn't realize it because you didn't have that maturity to realize what was happening. And so that also causes it. So there's so many different areas of how this could happen. And it says, tempt me with trials. And I think a lot of times those things happen when I'm driving, because sometimes I can be in like the best mood and then all of a sudden get like really mad at someone who cuts me off, and then I got to be like, okay, God, like I got some emotion in me, like what is happening, like really, because that shouldn't bother me. 99% of the time that doesn't bother me, but today it did. And so what is happening? And so that helps me to kind of figure out where that junk has come from. And discern my thoughts that I keep company with. And I think a lot of times, that's kind of this whole like retraining your brain. Discern my thoughts that I keep company with. Like, all of these negative thoughts, I mean, I treat them like my besties. That is not good. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be like, hey, negative thinking, let's go. Let's sit in this icky space. Let's have a pity party. Let's throw back some drinks and let's talk about our day. I mean, that's what I was doing. And so we don't want that. We don't want our negative, our icky thoughts to be our besties. Okay. So that's where it was like, okay, God, like figure this out. Like, let's get rid of these that I keep company, the thoughts that I keep company with that are icky. Like, we're going to get rid of those. And then gaze and spy on me. So really, like when you gaze and you spy on someone, I mean, that's intense. That's like looking into your soul. Like I wanted God to like truly penetrate me to get to my soul of the reality that maybe I was denying. And then it's, oh, that there be any idle sorrow, bodily or mental pain that I journey toward. Again, that whole thing, like, where do I go? It's that train of thinking. Where am I going? Where am I journeying? Are there idols that get in the way? Sorrow. I mean, come on. Some of us have some seriously deep grief, but we can't stay there. We just can't. I mean, you got to allow God to help you navigate that grief, that sorrow, any bodily or mental pain. Again, sometimes, like I got back issues, y'all. I can't, I, most of you, um, some of you knew me when I was younger and, I was so active and could play sports and everything else. I can't do any of that. Like legit, I can't do that. I mean, I can, but then I'm in pain for days afterwards, and my back gets all out of whack, and then I gotta redo it, get it fixed, and then go through the whole process again. So it's not worth it. So I can't do that. So I have bodily pain, but I can use that as an excuse to just not do the things I'm supposed to, or complain, or be like, woe is me, that whole pity party again. Okay, no, I can't do that. I can't stay in that space. So, what are those areas that you journey toward? What are those things that maybe you use as excuses as to why you can't do, or why you can't heal, or why you can't take this new job or step into this new adventure God's calling you to, you know? And then, and guide a course for my life toward a world without end, a vanishing point with you. And that just, I love that. Like, just a vanishing point with you, like just going forever. And like we keep going, you may not see us because it's that vanishing point. We're just going into eternity forever. And so yeah, so what is your go-to verse? Put it in the comments. Like I love to hear what it is. And if you want to do a word study, again, let me know, send me a message. I can help walk you through it, so that way it can just anchor you into this like true intimacy with God. And that's how you get your thinking on track. That's how you get movement. That's how you get momentum and start healing all of those spaces. And it could be any verse. I mean, I've heard so many different ones, and I love it that God speaks to each of us individually. So make it personal, because he wants that with you. He sees you. You are not alone. You are dearly loved. There's no reason to be hiding in shame or guilt. Like, step out, and I would be happy to walk alongside you and help you step out and journey a life toward a world without end, a vanishing point with God. Like, yes, that's what we want. So let's get our thinking on track. This has been a great 30 days. I've enjoyed it immensely. I am jumping on tomorrow for like a bonus day, um, and to kind of finish out the 31, because I'm putting this on my YouTube channel. So it's going to run in December. So if you missed any videos, because these eventually will pop off of um, Facebook, they'll go away. But I've already downloaded them and uploaded them on my YouTube channel. And so I'll add that in the comments, or I'll add another post or something. So you can subscribe to that, and then you can go through it through December. If you missed videos, or just go back to them, they are just going to, each day the video will be published that morning. And so they won't all be up until at the end of December. So yeah. So have a great day. Find your anchor verse. Let me know what it is. And thank you for joining me on these 30 days.